John Beaudin, Rock History Book. Hope everyone is doing really well. Hope you've recovered after, well, the stuff we just went through. Anyway, nice to have you on there if you want to support the channel. Remember, there's lots of links in the description where you can find out more information. Like our video, subscribe to our channel, share our video on the appropriate groups. We always appreciate that. It's always nice. And tag me if you can. If you're not friends with me, make sure you're friends with me on Facebook so I can at least thank you for it. Today, the underappreciated rocker who died saving his son from drowning. A great story, an interesting story, a tragic story. And Hendrix gave him a stage name as well. And we're going to have a guest who knows our subject, Mark Andes. You know Mark from Firefall. You know Mark from Heart, the big hair version of Heart in the 80s. He's going to be our special guest. He'll come on in just a second. Randy Craig Wolf was born in L.A. in 1951. His family was heavily into music. At a very young age, he mastered a lot of different types of guitar and started playing in folk clubs in L.A. when he was quite young. When Randy was 15, he and his parents moved to New York. It was 1966, and Randy went to a place called Manny's Music. Very important. That's where he met Jimi Hendrix. And for 1 year, Jimmy had a band called Jimmy James and the Blue Flames. And Randy was in that band. The problem was at the time, there were two Randys in the band. Randy Palmer was nicknamed Randy Texas by Hendrix, and our subject, Randy Wolf, was nicknamed Randy California. Then they got even better news. They were invited all to go to England to possibly record. Now, Randy's parents, Randy California, decided they didn't want their son to go out there at such a young age. And in the long run, they kind of just wanted one drummer. I mean, when you have Jimi Hendrix in the band, you kind of ask for Jimi Hendrix. By that time, California was making a name for himself. In the same building where Randy California lived with his parents, there was a young Walter Becker, who, of course, as you know, would later form Steely Dan with Donald Fagen. And he has given Randy California some credit for helping him with blues guitar. Kind of interesting, huh? FYI, Randy California's stepdad was married to his mom, and when they moved to California, it was Ed Cassidy whose idea it was. He was a jazz and rock drummer. And he formed a band after Randy couldn't go to England, and he probably wouldn't have gone anyway because they wanted Jimi Hendrix. They formed a band called, and we know this band, underrated as they are, Spirit in 1967 in California. Jay Ferguson was in the band, who would later have a hit with Thunder Island. Mark Andes, as I mentioned, from Firefall and Heart later on, was in the band, and John Locke, who's also known for the group Nazareth. Their only hit was I Got a Line on You, but their two first albums did well. Their debut, self-titled, reached number 31 on the Billboard charts, and The Family Placed Together peaked at number 22. Nothing to sneeze at, huh? They played with Zeppelin and Vanilla Fudge when Zeppelin first came to North America. It's a story we just carried on this channel a few days ago. Now, Spirit had a song called Taurus, which a lot of people argue about whether it was an influence for Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. If you listen to the beginning of both songs, they sound very, very similar. There were lawsuits, but each time, Led Zeppelin won. Here's the sad thing. On January 2nd, 1997, California drowned. He was only 45 years old, and he was trying to rescue his 12-year-old son, Quinn, outside of Hawaii. Quinn didn't drown, but California, trying to help him, did save him, but California was swept up in a tide and drowned himself. Kind of a sad story. The fact that a lot of people might not know who Randy California is. When you're in a band with Jimi Hendrix, you know, when you're in a band that puts together a song like Taurus. Now, take a listen to it if you don't know it. It's arguable that in Led Zeppelin's known, and I'll say that in this clip with Mark Andes, who, of course, before he joined Firefall and before he joined Heart, he was in the band Spirit. So we're going to listen to some of the things he says. Here's the first clip where we talk about the lawsuit. Mark Andes, famous for Spirit, famous for Heart, and Firefall.
How did that happen?
I know.
but at least we gave Randy a shot, and that thing started right here, right where I'm sitting. A great journalist did this interview, and he brought this book of this guy that had all these documentations of their in a loving way, in a tribute sort of way, and the how he the Howard that interview show, the Howard Kaufman,
Howard
no
Stern?
Howard Stern interviewed this guy, and he went through the timeline and said, oh, this is where when Spirit and Led Zeppelin were playing together, and here's where Led Zeppelin jammed on Fresh Garbage, and it was so close and it was so nicely put together. I thought, okay, if I can help, I will lend my support. I could not bring the case, as it turns out, but I thought, well, the chances of Randy ever getting credit beyond now are minimal. So if we're going to do this, let's do it. And it happened, and it did not work. The judgment did not work out that way. So at least Randy got his story told. You know what I mean?
Well, the makings of that. I mean, obviously they heard it, and I mean, Led Zeppelin is famous. I'm overstating the obvious here for like taking little pieces of little blues over here, and And don't get me wrong, I love what they did with them.
Well, babe, I'm going to leave you. They took the whole dang enchilada. But I'm a big fan too. I mean, the interesting thing is that there was, I think always between my perspective, there was always mutual respect. I thought, God, what a great rock band. Everybody does what they did to a degree, but when it's that obvious, come on, give the guy credit, especially when Randy asked. And I mean, Randy was, and Randy had some rough times, and there was a lot of pressure financially, and it was sad that.
We have another clip of that. I'm not sure why that cut off like that. I always forget who edited the video. Was it me, or was it my son, or was I doing it really late at night? That kind of thing. But Mark Andes is an interesting character. The whole interview is on this channel, where we talk about Firefall and the hardships of Firefall, and we talk about the big hair in Heart and things like that. We've got now one more clip coming up. Joey Jones said, Led Zeppelin is a trash band, and they ripped off Randy California, among many others. I've cried many tears over how the man's life came to an end. It was a very tragic thing. An underrated guitarist, I'll dumb it down. This is what I said a while ago. If you're playing with Jimi Hendrix, you're doing something right? And he was really young when he was influencing like people like Walter Becker. Mark had nothing but great things to say about Randy, whose real name, and I don't know it offhand again, it's Randy, where is it? Randy Craig Wolf. Jimi Hendrix gave him his stage name. Like, what the heck? Got another comment. Joey Jones, they should never have had a jury trial. Well, I've had it explained to me in a few different ways, the fact that why they lost. I'm not musical in that way, so I can't go on and explain it to you. Plus, we're going on to do All Things Must Pass coming up tonight. We're going on to do, what's the other one? Oh, Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell 2. It's a busy night for us. But one more track from Mark Andes talking about Randy California and Spirit, and first reaction to when he heard Stairway to Heaven. What was his first reaction when he first heard? Do you remember when he first heard Stairway to Heaven?
There was this general acknowledgement that was Taurus being used. But to be honest, I sort of thought that was Randy's business. And then Spirit had their own issues. Of course, Taurus was on the first record by the 12 Dreams record. intergroup dynamic was starting to fail, and I was making plans to move on. So I kind of didn't worry about what Randy's songwriting was doing. But
Do you think his accident really did affect him? Do you think he hurt himself? You think he hurt himself?
I do. Yep, I do. Yeah, falling off the horse you're referring to, right, John? Yeah. And it happened in a bad time, and he did not exactly follow doctor's orders. I mean, he was. It was just unfortunate. But he and I remained so close. That was the other frustrating thing, because I wanted Randy to like move on from Spirit and really develop Randy as an artist, so that when we wanted to revisit Spirit, it would matter and that people would care. But I would say to him, if we don't go away, if you don't go away, they won't miss. How can they miss you?
Mark's an interesting chap, isn't he? Great stories about Heart, great stories about Firefall, and I'm a huge Firefall fan. So I really enjoyed that band. I thought they were really underrated. Interviewed Rick Roberts and a few guys from the band, but always underappreciated. You know, we'll have a thing on Firefall coming up. We've got long interviews with some of the guys in the band. So there you have it. Randy, California, what could have been. I mean, he's the ultimate story of what if this bad bounce, if his accident wouldn't have happened. You know, the horse thing, the drowning thing. I mean, one chance different thing would have stopped everything else. But that's not life. Life doesn't work that way. You know, I did get rid of all my Ken Dryden, Wayne Gretzky rookie cards. That's the way it was going to work out. And, you know, we pass when we pass. Oh, Joey, you're saying a lot tonight. Okay, hold on. Oscar Stern. Hey, Oscar. Oh, right. Who died from saving his son from drowning? Hendrix didn't die, by the way. I understand you're not following the story. Joey Jones, thank you for addressing my comment. Really appreciate it. I'm going to share this video. Others think I'm crazy. Well, if you listen to the beginning, there's no way that Jimmy Page. I can't appreciate it. I can't. I guess there was too many things at stake, and they had to fight for it. I don't know. But I listen to that and I go, well, there's some inspiration from Taurus. But as I said, we're doing All Things Must Pass. We're doing some Meatloaf tonight with David Henschel and Joey from Badfinger for George Harrison. And we've got Kasim Sultan, the bass player for Bad Outta Hell. He's going to talk to us about Meatloaf, who we lost last year. I'm John Beaudin. Remember, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We'd appreciate that. We have the big channel, Rocky Stream Music, where we have 108,000 subscribers. And we have this channel, which is a Today in History, because this happened. Randy died on this day, way back when in 97. Take good care of yourself, and thank you. I love you guys for supporting the channel.